At last, spring is upon us. Or rather, I'm just happy we don't have to deal with winter anymore. It's that one dragon monster, Sichuan, back for another Undertale and Deltarune video. Oh yeah, there is something else to be happy about besides the change of seasons. They're finally coming, and yes, I am recording this in advance. I don't actually know what the reveal is like as I write the script. Y'all should know by now that I can't make videos this fast. Anyway, since the chapters are 100 meters from our location and approaching rapidly, I want to make this video on how we ought to prepare for their arrival. I've spoken about this with several of my friends, originally for my own use, but like my re-upload of their low performance, it ended up being a lot more communal than intended. To specify, this is a dissertation on instructions and guidelines I and others should probably follow once the new chapters drop. This is anything from behavioral advice, to familiarizing oneself with confirmed or implied information, and notes on practical actions within the games themselves. I'm not sure how far this will reach before the fateful day comes, but nevertheless, I'm doing the best I can to help our community of nerdly weirdos. For our first topic, let's do familiarization. This is mostly what you'd expect, knowing what happens in Deltarune as well as Undertale for how these two games intertwingle. And this includes supplementary material. Things in this category include the characters, events, music, and other official things. If y'all know anyone who's played these games but hasn't gone into the spam and sweepstakes or things of that sort, tell them to get on that shit! Not only does this help in world building, on top of being really entertaining, but it's all specifically here to give us more context for what we've already been exposed to, even more so for further suspending the future by showing off brand new things. Oh god, we've known about the distinction between Tenna and Mike for 2.5 years. Anyway, it's going to be a lot more satisfying to know about the basics of things as more is revealed about them in the chapters proper, as well as better earning one's reactions once the game immediately affirms or blindsides us, and being able to more accurately assess the implications. So please, do consider everything that Toby's presented to us. This also includes something that y'all may already be well versed in if you're watching this. This being what other fans in the fandom have to say about the matters of the game. Theories and other fan content that have been a mainstay in Undertale and Deltarune since the before times. Both of these two subjects being applicable to today's video. This encompasses actual theories, predictions, even dissertations on things we could analyze together. It's impossible to fully immerse oneself in everything these games have to offer alone, even if just what they have to say, so sharing information and viewpoints with others really helps with that, as was Toby's intention. And secondarily, savor these theories and other fan content while you still can, since the time for them to become obsolete is fast approaching. Goddard references aside, I do have my own take on Tenna, which I have posted elsewhere, but here he is. He's gonna be obsolete soon. Or maybe he's already obsolete. Again, I don't know what the trailer is gonna be like, so if the trailer reveals what Tenna looks like, well, oopsie poopsie. Do be wary of what you consider from other people, just as you should be critical of your own conceptions. Not everything that fans say is going to be of much value in terms of gaining understanding or foresight. This is either because they're not very well learned as of yet, or are acting in bad faith. I go over this in depth in my fandom video, so check that out at some point please. Onward, this is why we must not only be careful of what we ourselves interpret from Toby's works, but also how fellow fans do. Nearly every specific, bespoke, holistic conceptualization of something is going to be inaccurate to some degree, but that doesn't mean they will all entirely miss the mark. Even if only a couple of them end up being bullseyes, plenty others will still nail the target in one way or another. It's what turns out right and how exactly they would be that gets me really excited. Even if some of my own stuff is also doomed to semi-falsehood like everyone else. I am trying my best to be as close as I can, while also sacrificing some precision for wiggle room. And that's part of the fun, honestly. So let's listen to the games and each other, and doing so thoughtfully. The former is why we're all here and interested, and we're in it together. Furthermore, this doesn't just apply to information we've gathered and considered before the chapter's release. This also goes for what we experience and learn directly after. Just as these next releases will both confirm and debunk any number of different theories, or anything in between, they will also present brand new information to us that we would have no plausible way of considering before. This may be either a holistic sense in that there was not a single scrap of evidence for something in an earlier chapter or related release only now being revealed to us, or more plentifully, it can be just in a practical sense, such as the Titans technically having evidence for their existence in Chapter 1, but with no reasonable way for us to interpret the cliff eyes or the like in any fashion approaching that. These chapters are going to blow our minds, despite only being 2/3 of the mid-game. But hey, rising action and all, as well as being double the content together from Chapter 2, as Toby said, it'll be completely overwhelming, in the best possible way. That being said, take some modified advice from earlier. We are to carefully take what we are presented, let it sink in, and reasonably talk about it among each other. In other words, do not take your first, probably ill-informed interpretations as fact, or those from others, nor should you beat people's heads with them. I've seen this sort of thing happen a lot when Chapter 2 was new. Again, mostly gone over in the other video, but basically, just engross yourself in the game as best you can, discuss it among other fans without spoiling anyone or yourselves, stay away from ne'er-do-wells unless you're laughing at them, and don't start treating interpretations as near fact until it's all thoroughly studied, but also don't just dismiss information or interpretations merely if you don't favor it, of course. But with all that pre- and post-playthrough stuff out of the way, there are some points I want us all to keep in mind when actually doing said playthrough. These points will be short and mostly speak for themselves, so here they are. Look out for signs of the secret bosses themselves, and directions on their side quests. Backtrack to areas and NPCs who are associated with the secret boss for further lore clarification and exposure. Watch out for self-interrupting background music upon room transitions, as those always mark where the man is and possibly by other references. Be sure to find where the egg drop-off is, and Temmie, and wherever else the man might be hiding in the light world. Take note of possible opportunities to start and follow through with the weird route. Look to the hospital bead toy for any more changes, or anywhere else that might be applicable to the weird route. Always check the shelter in every chapter. Have Chris use the Shadow Crystals in both Light World and Dark World, and probably the same with the Shadow Mantle. Download for unused with their updates in each chapter, and potentially any other new program files. There, I think that should be about it. And this last point I'm going to make is mostly for myself, because I'm a sick freak like that. But y'all are welcome to follow in my footsteps. In the short time before these 2 chapters release, I am going to try to learn Wingding's font. Don't worry, it's just going to be uppercase letters and a couple punctuation marks, since Gaster doesn't use digits or in-sentence punctuation when talking in Wingdings, and doesn't use lowercase at all. I, of course, don't know if the Wingdings font is going to show up in one of these 2 chapters, but it is bound to come up in a big way at some point, so just in case its rather important font presents itself so soon, I want to not only scream and bounce around the room when it graces my eyes, but I want to be able to immediately read it when I've calmed back down. Even if it remains absent in 3 and 4, it will be present eventually. This is unnegotiable. I'll be ready, no matter where or when Gaster or closely related thing uses or references this font in-game. Do y'all think I covered everything we need? Was there something I missed? If so, please leave a comment below if I should consider something else. Also, with these chapters coming out, you bet your fucking bay leaves I'm going to cover them as much as I can. I am so hyped! So, if y'all want to stick around for that, please subscribe and maybe support my Patreon. Y'all won't regret it. You know I'll be seeing you soon.